Hi guys, Amelia here, and today we're diving into something deeper than touch, deeper than attraction, something that sits right at the core of human desire. Because physical touch isn't just about getting closer, it's a direct line into the emotional center of the brain, a secret password into the part of a woman that creates longing, anticipation, and desire. Before we go further, let me give you a hook that might shock you. A man's hands can turn a woman on faster than his words, his looks, or even his confidence if he knows where and how to touch her. Most men never learn this. Most men rush. Most men touch without intention, and that's why they fail. But you're here, which means you're not most men. The truth is this: a man's touch holds immense psychological power. But many men aren't well versed in the art of physical connection. Yes, art, because touch isn't random. It's not chaos. It's communication. It's storytelling. And there is a psychological reason why your touch can make her heart flip, her breath hitch, and her mind wander back to you long after you've walked away. It all comes down to one concept: the real reason why touch affects women so deeply. There's a powerful psychological framework called sexual scripting, and understanding it changes everything. Every single one of us grows up with a mental story about how intimacy is supposed to happen, not how it does happen, how it should happen. This story is shaped by childhood conditioning, media, movies, romance scenes, past partners, even subconscious fantasies. Whether she knows it or not, every woman has a script where she is the protagonist, and physical touch is almost always the opening scene. That's what makes your touch dangerous in the best possible way, because when you touch her the right way, you're not just touching her skin, you're triggering a scene she's replayed in her mind for years. You're awakening a fantasy she's never said out loud. You're becoming the man inside her story. And this is why physical touch can turn her on even before anything happens. It's not about the touch itself. It's about the meaning behind it. Here's something even more surprising. A study in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy revealed that over 78% of women don't reach climax through penetration alone. Why? Because women don't heat up instantly. They warm slowly, gradually, emotionally, which means one thing: touch is your greatest weapon. It opens up opportunities that most men never take advantage of. It builds desire before anything physical even begins. It sets the entire tone of intimacy. So before we get into the exact areas she secretly wants your hands to explore, I want you to understand one thing. Women don't fall for touches. They fall for the feeling behind the touch. They fall for intention, for presence, for the slow build-up that makes their mind race ahead of the moment. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to trigger that. Number 1, her neck. This is where the real story begins. Every part of her body tells its own story, but the neck is the chapter she guards the closest. It's a symbol of vulnerability, softness, surrender. Biologically, the neck is packed with nerve endings, especially around the sides and the base. That's why even a soft breath or a faint touch can send a shiver straight through her. But psychologically, the neck represents trust. When she lets you touch her neck, she is allowing you into a zone most people are not allowed to enter. It's intimate, personal, emotional. Here's how you use it strategically. Start near her jawline. Trace your fingers down toward her collarbone. Then slowly guide that touch toward her chest. This movement does something subtle but powerful. It transitions her from a safe, affectionate touch into a sensual, anticipatory one. And don't underestimate the back of her neck. A kiss there, especially when your hand is resting on her waist, acts like a psychological switch. It tells her, you're safe, you're desired, and I know exactly what I'm doing. This isn't just touch. It's a message, a promise, an invitation into something deeper. Number 2, her thighs. Let's move into an area that most men underestimate, but every woman secretly reacts to her inner thighs. Now, I want to repeat your original line exactly. One big part of touch is about building anticipation. Consider the inside of her thighs. It's a gold mine for creating that intense anticipation. And you know what? That was not an exaggeration. It was an understatement. The inner thighs are one of the most sensitive nerve-packed areas on the female body. When you touch her there, even lightly, you're not just creating sensation, you're creating tension. And tension is the foundation of desire. But here's what most men get wrong. They go straight for the center. Too fast. Too predictable. Too eager. What she actually craves is the slow burn, the intentional buildup, the kind of touch that tells her, I know exactly how to make you want more. This is the psychology behind it. A woman's arousal intensifies when she doesn't fully know what's coming next. The inner thighs are the perfect zone to tease without giving away the ending. That's why soft touches here create electrifying sensations. Not because of what you're doing, but because of what you're not doing yet. Let your fingertips barely graze her skin. Let your touch drift close, but not too close. Let her feel the path of your hand before it ever arrives. When you do this, you're not just touching her body. You're playing with her imagination. You're inviting her into the next scene of her sexual script. A moment where her mind takes over and amplifies everything you're doing tenfold. Your original line was perfect. This isn't just foreplay. It's a strategic move that amplifies her anticipation for what's to come next. And I want to expand that because when you touch her thighs with patience, real patience, you signal something powerful. I don't need to rush. I don't need permission. I'm in control of the moment. And I'm savoring you. Women don't just react to the touch. They react to the energy behind it, and that is what makes them crave you long after you stop. Number 3, her lower back. Now we shift into something deceptively simple, yet psychologically potent, her lower back. Many men overlook this area, but the truth is the lower back is a hidden communication zone. When you touch it, you're not just making contact, you're sending a subconscious message. Let me repeat your original thought. The lower back is a strategic point of contact. When you place your hand there, not only do you highlight her feminine curves, but you also send chills down her spine. But I want you to hear the deeper meaning behind that. The lower back is a trust signal, a dominance signal, a protective signal. When you place your hand there to guide her, whether through a crowd, into a room, or closer to you, you're doing 3 things simultaneously. 1, showing subtle leadership. Women notice this instantly. It tells her, I've got you. Follow me. 2, creating a body-driven connection. The lower back is sensitive because it's close to the spine. Even a light touch can send warmth upward through her entire body. 3, activating her feminine energy. Your touch on her lower back emphasizes her curves, hips, waist, silhouette, making her feel desired without you saying a single word. Your original line, there's an undeniable masculinity in a man resting his hands on a woman's back, is so true. But let's deepen it. Masculinity isn't shown through aggression. It's shown through confidence, through guidance, through intention. When you touch her lower back, you're giving her a moment of grounding, a moment of certainty, a moment where she feels safe and feminine, and safety is the doorway to desire. Your next line was perfect. This simple gesture speaks volumes. It makes her feel both protected and cherished. Exactly. Because when a woman feels protected, she opens up emotionally. When she feels cherished, she opens up physically. And when both happen, intimacy becomes effortless. This isn't just touch. It's the foundation of connection. One that escalates without forcing anything. And that's the kind of touch she remembers long after you're gone, long after the moment ends. Number 4, the scalp and ears. Now we move into one of the most underrated yet incredibly powerful zones of all. Her scalp and the area right behind her ears. You said it perfectly. In your original script, running your hand through her scalp and hair is incredibly soothing for her. But let's expand that truth. The scalp is connected directly to emotional release. When you touch her hair with intention, slow, gentle, controlled, you activate her parasympathetic nervous system. This brings her into relaxation, comfort, vulnerability, all states closely tied to intimacy. But here's the part most men don't realize. A woman's scalp holds emotional tension the same way her heart does. Release one, and you awaken the other. Pair that with what you said next. But here's the secret. Pair it with a touch at the back of her ears, all while maintaining that intense eye contact. This is where seduction becomes psychological, because the area behind her ears is a nerve-ending powerhouse. It's delicate, warm, sensitive. When you touch it, especially when she's not expecting it, you send a wave of sensation down her jawline, her neck, and straight into her chest. Now, imagine this combination. Your fingers slowly lifting her hair, your palm brushing her scalp, your thumb grazing the back of her ear, your eyes locked on hers. This is the moment every romance scene tries to imitate. This is the moment real intimacy begins. You also mentioned you can also do the subtle act of adjusting her hair or tucking it behind her ear. This seems simple, but psychologically it triggers affection, not lust, closeness, not pressure. It's the kind of touch that makes her heart soften before her body responds. This matters because women rarely jump straight into desire. They walk through an emotional door first. And here's the twist. The scalp and ears area is where affection turns into seduction without her even noticing. One moment she feels cared for, the next she feels drawn to you. Most men think seduction is bold, but the truth, it often begins with subtlety. And when you do this right, like your script says, soon she'll be signaling for your hand to venture further south. Because she will. Not because you force the moment, but because you awakened her desire naturally. Number 5, her hips. Now, let's talk about one of the most instinctive, biological, and deeply wired areas of attraction, her hips. You said it already in the original script. Now, this is an obvious one, but not many men truly understand why a man's attraction to a woman's hips makes biological sense. Exactly. From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, the hips symbolize femininity, fertility, and sensuality. But there's something more emotional happening here, something men rarely consider. For a woman, her hips are connected to her sense of confidence and sensual identity. When a man touches or holds her hips, here's what she subconsciously receives. You're desirable. You're feminine. You're wanted. You're womanly. And these messages matter far more than men realize. When you place your hands on her hips, you stabilize her. You anchor her body. You claim the space around her without crossing boundaries. This makes her feel both desired and safe. That combination is devastatingly attractive to women. Your original line was great. It's an intimate gesture that stirs up a sense of passion and desire. But let's add the visual. Picture this moment. You're hugging her or kissing her, and then your hands slowly glide downward to her waist to her hips, and you give a subtle confident squeeze. 9 times out of 10 she'll react instantly. That soft gasp, that micro pause, that widening of her eyes. That's the moment she feels it, because the hips are a direct line to her subconscious desire. Not forceful, not vulgar, just deeply emotionally charged. Her hips aren't just curves, they're communication, and your touch tells her everything she needs to know. Number 6, her lips. Now we arrive at the final and one of the most emotionally loaded zones, her lips. You said it perfectly. When a man gently touches or kisses a woman's lips, it taps into her sensual side and enhances her comfort in her own sexuality. But let's expand that into something unforgettable. Her lips are more than a body part. They are a gateway to emotion, to intimacy, to vulnerability. Biologically, the lips contain some of the densest nerve endings in the entire human body. That's why even a soft kiss can feel electric. Psychologically, attention to her lips tells her, I want you. Not casually, not accidentally, but intentionally. Kissing releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This makes her feel safe, connected, and emotionally present. But touching her lips, that's another level. Running your thumb gently over her bottom lip, tracing the corner of her mouth, pulling her closer by the chin. These touches activate anticipation, not just desire. Your original line, kissing, in particular, evokes intimacy and emotional connection. For her is the absolute truth. Because for a woman, kissing isn't the beginning of intimacy. It is intimacy. Master the lips and you master her emotional world. Master the emotional world and you master desire. The truth behind these 6 touch points. Now that we've covered her neck, her inner thighs, her lower back, her scalp, and ears, her hips, and her lips. There's something deeper you need to understand. These aren't just physical locations. They're emotional entry points, psychological triggers, doors to a woman's inner world that most men never learn to unlock. Touch isn't about technique. It's about intention. It's about knowing the story unfolding inside her mind the moment your hand meets her skin. Because remember your original message, mastering the art of touch is an absolute game share when it comes to igniting desire and forging that unbreakable connection. Let's expand that into what it really means. A man who knows how to touch a woman isn't just touching her body. He's touching her imagination. He's creating anticipation, painting scenes, triggering emotions she doesn't even know how to explain. He becomes the man she thinks about in quiet moments, the man she rewrites stories around, the man her mind keeps returning to even when she tries not to. Because women don't fall for touches. They fall for the feeling of being desired, understood, protected, awakened, seen, and physical. Touch, when done intentionally, communicates all of these at once. Why these touch points work so powerfully? Let's break it down psychologically. Her neck signals vulnerability and trust. You're accessing a place her body rarely allows others near. Her inner thighs creates anticipation. You're teasing the boundary without crossing it, activating her imagination. Her lower back triggers safety, closeness, and masculine presence. A guidance touch she secretly loves. Her scalp and ears calms her emotionally, while stimulating her physically. This is where affection melts into seduction. Her hips signals desire and connection to her femininity, a biological and emotional ignition point. Her lips, the bridge between emotional intimacy and physical passion. Everything starts and ends with the lips. When you combine these touch points in the right sequence, slow, intentional, confident, you activate every part of her sexual scripting, not the rushed, clumsy script of a man who tries too hard, but the sophisticated, slow burn script of a man who understands feminine psychology. That's the man who leaves a mark. That's the man she can't forget. That's the man she keeps thinking about long after he's gone. The unbreakable connection. Your original closing line said it beautifully. These major hotspots I've shared with you are like little secret switches that unlock the intensity you both create. Now let's elevate that into something unforgettable. Touch is not about control. It's not about dominance. It's not about getting something from her. It's about creating a moment she feels in her chest, her mind, her breath, her memory. A moment she returns to even when she tries not to. When you touch her with presence, with slow intention, with emotional awareness, with real confidence, you awaken a side of her she rarely shows anyone. That's why I said earlier, a woman doesn't fall for the man who touches her the most. She falls for the man whose touch feels meaningful. That's the connection that becomes unbreakable. That's the connection that sets you apart from every other man. That's the connection that makes her crave more. Not because you forced desire, but because you awakened it. Here's a final truth I want you to remember. You are not competing with other men. You are competing with her memory, with her fantasies, with the stories she has written for years. And when your touch aligns with her script, when you become the man who matches the scenes in her mind, she won't just want you. She will feel you long after you've walked away, long after the moment ends, long after she tries to distract herself from what she felt. That is the power of intentional touch. And that is why these zones matter. So guys, don't just listen to this, apply it, feel it, understand the psychology behind every touch. Because if you do, you won't just turn her on. You'll create a connection that lingers in her thoughts, her emotions, and her body. Touch her here. Touch her right. And trust me, she won't stop thinking about you. With that being said, until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Amelia.